Good afternoon. It is my intention to speak to my father shortly, and I'll be quite honest with you, I'm dreading it. Why am I dreading it? Well, there's always a bit of a shortage of things to say to him because I'm talking too quickly, because I do find it difficult to be open and relaxed with him. Although I am able to feel relatively adult, relatively grown up when speaking to him, which is something that's positive and new for me. And I think I've said before here that I'm able to argue with him because, well, not through choice, but that's what he does. He likes to argue. Hey, what can I say? No, why am I dreading speaking to him? Well, there is this business of running out of things to say. But also, last time I spoke to him, which is a week ago, in the same spot, or from the same spot, and it's remarkable how much the hedges have greened up, how much the leaf has developed in the intervening week. But as I was saying, I spoke to him last week, about this time last week, and he was quite obnoxious, which is getting to be a bit of a thread. Again, have I said here? I don't remember. A couple of times ago when I spoke to him, he said, I had some things I wanted to talk about with you, criticisms. I wanted to criticise you, but I'll save those till when we meet. Great, thank you. I mean, I don't care. They it irritates me a bit, but it doesn't hurt me. It doesn't upset me over much. And I don't take it to heart. Some things bother me a little bit. But I think the main thing is just, the thing that I notice is just how prejudiced he is, and how he is unable to conceive of a life different to that which he lived. Again, I might have talked about this before. I don't know how much of that is because he is 95, 96. I forget. And his horizon has contracted because he has been effectively homebound for several years, getting all his worldview from mainstream news on television. He follows some American news channel and the BBC and reads a fascist newspaper, and he talks such bollocks. He believes every bit of it. That can be a bit irritating. But again, I'm digressing. So yes, I am dreading speaking to him a bit. I have, just check the time here, 4 o'clock, I've got plenty of time. And I also factor in the fact that 3 times lately I've called him and he's been quite brusque in his not wanting to talk because something's going on or something's going to happen. And then I have his rigid meal times, which I think are enforced by his carers. So it hasn't been terribly relaxed. Another bit of news. Yes, exciting news. I've still got this throat thing. It's not the same one I was talking about months ago, but I had an incipient cold, which I think I was able to head off with advice and assistance, non-pharmaceutical. But it has settled onto my chest a bit, as it always does this time of year. It seems so common that I get a cold and then we come into the hay fever season and it settles on my chest, which it has done a bit, but it's not too bad, but that's irrelevant. But more importantly, what I was going to say was that I'm going to visit my father in 2 weeks' time, 2 weeks or thereabouts. Which I'm looking forward to and about which I have reservations. I'm looking forward to it. No, on balance, I am looking forward to it. It is potentially going to be challenging, but it always is. And I have to remember that he's 96 and he can't do anything to me. If I incur his displeasure, so what? If he shows disapproval of my life choices as being different to his own, so what? Everyone's different. That's that. Anything else to say on that subject? Probably, but I can't think of it. Domestic relationships have been getting worse. I say that every time. I just have no words. I can't speak. I can't speak and I don't want to speak. A hypnotherapist of my acquaintance suggested that in her case, she feels she only has a certain amount of sociability, and when she uses help, there's none left. And maybe that's the case with me, because I talk to my friend, I talk to my hypnotherapist, and to a certain extent I speak to people at the markets, that I do, although that's quite limited. But it is possible that there is nothing left after that, that it's all used up. My talk is all gone. I haven't been doing many videos lately because I haven't felt I have the potential to talk, so maybe that's the same sort of thing, using up my talking. And here I am talking, rambling about nothing. I have been doing the markets lately for a reason which I'll come to in a minute, without the assistance of microdoses, which I have found incredibly helpful in the last year or so. And I still have the issue that I can't readily talk with people. The making conversation is something with which I struggle, but I don't feel uneasy or constrained in making contact with people, in responding to people. So that is a positive. Oh, there are some, I say that, there are still some significant difficulties. My neighbouring stallholder had a helper with her today, and these helpers are usually, they're volunteers. They're usually young, very young girls, and I find I can't talk to them at all. There have been others. There have been a couple who have been actually quite easy. There was a noticeably older German woman who was very easy to talk to. In fact, I would like to contact her by email again, in that we have sporadic conversations. There was another, was she Dutch? I can't remember. Woman who was very easy to talk to, a Spaniard. Again, but they tend to be older ones. These young ones who are maybe students, I would guess, early 20s, I can't talk to them at all. Why not? Some creased brow again, stop it. Some sort of, I don't know, very strong unease, almost a fear. It's like I can't explain. But also I feel they don't have anything to say. I know I have nothing to say, but I don't feel they have anything to say, and we have nothing to say to each other. I feel we haven't got anything particular in common. So that's a bit awkward, and the neighbouring stallholder has a very quiet voice when she's talking to me, which she perhaps picks up from me. And being a bit hard of hearing myself, well, not hearing terribly well always, I can't hear what she says, so she mumbles and murmurs these things. And I don't know. I do ask her to repeat sometimes, but probably I ought to say, look, I can't understand a word you're saying. I can't hear you. But I don't care that much. But it does make it awkward with her. And then when she's talking about someone else or something slightly sensitive, she was talking about, I shan't give you any context because I can't be asked, talking about lamb's testicles today. And when she was talking about that, her voice dropped even lower. She was almost like mouthing the words. So I can only guess what she was saying. Of course, it may not have been lamb's testicles at all. It could have been something else that sounded similar, like, I don't know, I can't be bothered to think of something that might sound similar to lamb's testicles. But she is difficult in that respect. The hearing thing is a little bit isolating, but it's not something that bothers me really. More than a little bit, only a little bit. Because most people don't say anything I want to hear, and I haven't got anything to say to them. So not being able to hear doesn't impact. And do I use it to give me an excuse to not engage in conversation? Moving on to another subject. I had the session of HRE, which is in English esoteric regressive hypnosis. 2-3 weeks ago, I lose track of time. Very briefly, it was an interesting experience, and I have felt significantly different since. I'm not going to get into trying to describe how different I feel. I might even have written about it on my blog. I'm not sure. I'd have to check back. I've forgotten about that. Can I do that here? So it has made a big difference to how I feel inside, and possibly a rather smaller difference. Yes, I've written something about it. Can I read it? Yeah, I've started writing about it, but I've stopped. I've posted it, but I don't think I finished because I might have been falling asleep. I can't remember now. But it has made a huge difference to how I feel internally, and possibly some difference to how I behave externally, although I still can't talk to or deal with my wife. You know, everything I do or don't do just seems to make things worse. It may not be intended to be something to hurt her, but it comes out or turns into that. And I still have this. This is irrelevant to what we were talking about. difficulty making time for things I want to do, or want to do. And I find when I do have time off, well, at home, I feel really constrained because I'm not alone, and I don't want to share anything I do with the person I live with, which isn't very helpful, is it? But when I do have those rare occasions when I am alone and free, I don't use the time wisely. I would like to spend more time with the guitar. For a while I couldn't play the guitar because I had this problem with my wrist that started 3 months ago, actually, and it has gradually got better. There's been some healing help from my friend, some help from an osteopath. It's very good, actually. If I thought it would be of any value, I would recommend her. She's very, very good indeed. So it is better, so much better, but it still limits what I can do with my right hand, and it's very easy to trigger it again by unwisely doing something. But that, for a long time, meant I couldn't play the guitar. But it has eased. But I won't play the guitar when my wife is around because I don't want her to hear. And then if she's not around, I'm worried about the neighbours and the noise because I don't want them to hear. So last weekend, when I was looking after animals for a friend in her house with no neighbours, I was able to make as much noise as I wanted, which was very liberating. The music wasn't good, and I don't think I recorded any. No, I didn't record any. But it felt very free and liberated. Do I take it with me when I go to see my father? I'll think about that. I'm staying somewhere different this time. Now, I was very happy with the other place in many ways, but not in others. The good things were that it was adequately private and minimally overlooked. It had an outside space. The space inside was quite good. The downsides were there were smells, not good smells, in that, like perfumes, washing powders, which are really very intrusive. Although it's quite possible that will be the same everywhere. And the other issue was there's so much stuff around. It was packed full of clutter. And when I went there with my friend, she actually moved stuff to make space. Now, I couldn't be bothered to do that for myself because I'm only there for like 3 nights. And it wasn't really important to me that, well, it was important. I wasn't anticipating really relaxing, making myself at home, moving all this stuff and then having to put it back before I left. I did move some things to make space in the kitchen and 1 or 2 other bits and pieces, but mostly I left it where it was. That was when I went on my own the last 2 times. How did I get to this? That was a place where I could make noise with the guitar, and did. I don't know about this new place that we're going to. It's a bit of an unknown. I suspect it's, looking at the pictures, it may not be quite as private, but it does have an outside space, which is good. I'm thinking I probably ought to cut this inane, this banal rambling short and speak to my father, or try and speak to him, to be told, "Oh, I can't talk now, I'm busy." Or, I've got some things I wanted to ask to talk to you about, and they're criticisms, but I'll save them for when I see you. Instead, I'll just talk about the non-news stories I've been listening to. It's up to me to seize the initiative and direct the conversation, but I don't want to do that because I still have reluctance when it comes to talk about myself. Now that's an innate reluctance that's always been there. It is emphasised by the fact that I know that anything I say about myself will be not taken well by him, because it's not what he would have done, not what he did, and not what he had created a fantasy that I'd done, that I'm not the person that he had imagined that I was. Oh, I've talked about this before, I don't want to go back there. So perhaps I shall put a stop to this. Just checking something there. That's all good. That's interesting. So I pull that down, it's like a veil comes down over my face. It doesn't for you, I'm still here. So it's a good job I didn't do that and pick my nose or something, thinking you couldn't see me. Who couldn't see me? Nobody's going to watch this. The watches, as ever, are much higher for animal videos than for me videos, even for the amateurish, half-hearted washing up videos, which amuse me. I get more views on my exhibitionist channel, about which you don't know anything, about which you know nothing. And I will leave it as such because you don't need to know about that. But it is interesting, the number of views. I can't tell how long they are, unlike with YouTube. I've written more about that in the blog, I think, than here. But it is strangely exciting. But enough of that. I think I'm going to stop it there and attend to my physical needs and call my father. I know that he has to eat at 5 and he is made to cut off, or he's learnt to stop himself at 5. So it's judging it so that I have a reasonable amount of time with him, but not too much, because he gets very tired. That's my excuse. I get very tired. That's the truth. But they're both true. He does noticeably flag in his speech and thoughts, and I find it exhausting. What else has been happening? Probably things I haven't talked about. Dreaming, there's been quite a bit of dreaming lately, but unfortunately I haven't been remembering them. I say unfortunately because I enjoy remembering dreams. I have no idea what they mean, but it's nice to have them and to take away some memory or some feeling. I have been having feelings, and the feeling has been unspecific, that the dreams have been very significant, very important, very intense, but I still forget them. I was thinking about it this morning. It's when I woke up at 4 from a lot of dreams. It's like, I look back on the dream and it's like looking at a body of water that's swirling around, and within this water I can see these little glimpses, little images come up, in amongst the swirling, come up and disappear. Whew. And that's what looking back at the dreams is like. That I see these little bits come up and I can't. It brings up a memory, but I can't remember the detail. It's just, oh yes, that's a bit of that dream. Yes, that's part of that. And I can see below the water the outline, the hint of the rest of the dream that is brought back to me by the image that's floated to the surface. It's like an iceberg, and there's a little bit on the top and lots beneath. But I can't see in any detail. And I know that if I try and put my hand in the water to pick this thing up, to see more of it, it is an illusion and it will just disappear. So that's what my dreams have been like for a while. Funny, at one time I was remembering massive, huge dreams. Then I went through a period of not being aware of having had any, and now I'm having lots, often lots, but remembering virtually nothing about them. Yeah, enough rambling, that's over. Well, thank you for not listening. I doubt if anyone's going to sit through 26 minutes of my rambling, but I've done it. There was more to say, more significant stuff, but I can't remember now. So I shall leave you and brave speaking to my father. Bye.